Shalom. Call hello Yahweh Bashem Abishai Bashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered among the heathen nations around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, and to the Akwaf that are listening and learning. To you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. And this is Ecclesiastes 12:3. And in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened. The door shall be shut in the streets when the sounds of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And disclaimer, this is Fair Use Act, USC Code 17, I believe it is. This is, I'm not profiting from this. I'm using it for educational and informational uses only.
All right, so we have another stimulus bill that is coming up. And God only knows what they're putting in these things, and there's nobody doing their job in Congress or in the Senate. We have Representative Thomas Massie, who got massacred, what was it, just last week, for standing up and saying, no, you have to have these people come in and actually debate the bill. Right now, Nancy Pelosi is passing all of these things. This is just the leadership in Congress and the leadership in Senate just doing business and railroading all of this stuff through, and it's absolutely unconstitutional. Thomas Massie, who is being a watchdog of our money and our Constitution, welcome to the program, sir. How are you?
Thanks for having me on, Glenn. Yeah, the swamp nearly crushed me 10 days ago for insisting that Congress show up for work. And they're going to try and do it again. They're trying to pass bills with nobody there. It's not constitutional. And tell me why truck drivers and nurses and grocery store workers have to go to work, but Congress doesn't.
It's obscene, Thomas. It really is obscene. I mean, I understand if they don't, but most of them are old and, are prime candidates for getting this. So I understand that they don't want to go in, but then fine. Do it on the phone, do it on the internet. That's what we're all having to do. Do it on Zoom. You can do it, Congress. They're not even looking for ways to do it. In fact, Nancy Pelosi has said she won't call everybody back because it's just too dangerous.
Glenn, we're telling millions of school children to go to school online, and Congress can't even hold a hearing online. It's ridiculous. This is what I said this time. So they're going to try and do something by UC. I don't want to get crushed again. I know I'm going to get crushed again. But what I've said is vote remotely. Enable voting remotely for Congress. If you don't want to show up for work, at least work from home. But this is about not having any accountability. And by the way, this loan program, is it appropriate to call it a loan program if you expect 100% of the loans to default? The banks are not loan originators, they're grant administrators, and it's free money. When you put up a sign and say free money, is it any surprise that you run out of $300 billion the first day? No, we'll run out of $250 billion. The White House told me when they were trying to get me to vote for this bill 10 days ago, it's so big, we're making it so big so we won't have to revisit this issue until like July or August. That's what they told me. Oh, don't worry, we got plenty of money there. The Fed can leverage it. You won't have to vote on anything like this again. And here we are not even 2 weeks later, and they're telling us they need, the Senate Republicans are saying $250 billion, and then Pelosi's saying, no, we need another $250 billion. So this would be $500 billion, not even 2 weeks after the first bill. And they don't want anybody to go on record.
So what's in this bill? Thomas, do you have any idea? I know that they're now saying, the Democrats are saying they won't vote unless, and this kills me, unless we change our voting system in November and we allow some sort of remote voting for every American. Yet they won't remote vote for the bill.
They can't enable remote voting for 535 members of Congress. I don't think it's going to go well with the general public. By the way, that's a state issue. There are states that have mail-in ballots, and there are states that don't. There's no reason to nationalize this. This is something that the states handle. People need to get out their constitutions and look at them. And I will tell you something, Glenn. I see a very grim future here in a few weeks if the governors don't reverse course. The assembly lines are shutting down. People, when you see these jobless numbers, those are people who aren't going to the factories and aren't working. By the way, you know, we all like to think that the farmers are still working, and they are for the most part, but most of that food goes through a factory that has to be approved by the USDA, et cetera, before it gets to your table. And those factories are shutting down, Glenn. There were 6 slaughterhouses, like giant meat packers, that have shut down.
I know that the farmers are now buying up. I mean, I have cattle on my ranch. We're stocking up on food, making sure that you have enough so you're not selling your cattle, because there's no one to take the cattle and process the meat. I think we'll have meat shortages. I think because of lack of workers on the ground, there's lots of. I talked to a farmer yesterday in North Carolina, said he's ready to pull a crop up. He doesn't have anybody to do it, and he can't afford to pay anybody to do it because he's not sure he qualifies for the loan because he only hires people 2 months at a time, 3 times a year.
Right, and
what are they going to do?
The loan still isn't going to make people come to work. You know, you've seen pictures of dairies pouring out milk. You're going to see pictures of cattlemen shooting their cattle and burying them because they can't afford. There's no feed to be had, and there's nobody that will process them. And meanwhile, you're going to have shortages in the supermarket. By the way, I've got a bill I introduced like 5 years ago to fix this called the Prime Act that would let local processors process meat, and you could sell it inside the state, and it would allow local processors to fulfill this need so that you don't have farmers killing animals instead of putting them into food.
Thomas, that is the kind of thinking that we need to get on. You know, Donald Trump was made fun of because America first, but that is all that is think globally, act locally. Every hippie understands that. Yeah. And all you're saying is give the local people a chance to do things without having to go through the federal government. Let the states do it the way our Constitution was built. So what's the hold up on this one?
Well, you know, ironically, I have the hippies in Congress have co-sponsored my bill. It's a collection of conservatives and hippies, and the red tape is going to cause people to starve here in a few weeks. I'm telling you, if something doesn't change, it's going to get ugly. And the people who are still going to work, the productive members of society, they're going to, when neighbors start taking stuff from other neighbors, and they're going to be able to justify it in their mind, right? They're going to look at a neighbor who's got all this food and say, you know, my kid needs to eat. That guy hoarded food. That's not fair. I'm going to take his stuff. When people start taking other people's stuff, then the productive members of society are going to stay home to guard their stuff, and it's going to just grind to a halt so quickly. And we are weak. We are weeks away.
This is quite a charge. I've been talking about food shortages now for a while, but I don't predict them coming this quickly.
This is 2 Ezra 15 and 18. For because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Call halal Yahweh Bashan Abashai Bashem Bakakwadash Wa Abba Babal Shalom.